DC and HBO are finally back with the Lantern series, but what they dropped on us isn't exactly what you were expecting. It's a dark, insanely high-quality opening, but packed with controversial choices that already have comic fans spiraling right from episode 1. What's up, guys? In this video, we're diving straight into a full review of episode 1 of Lanterns without beating around the bush. We're talking incredible performances, calling out its single biggest story issue, and exposing a massive timeline plot hole connected to the Superman movie that puts the entire new DCU into question. If you're ready, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's jump right into the good stuff. Alright guys, before we jump into the review, just a quick heads up. I'm going to try my best to keep this video as spoiler-free as possible, but there might be a few spots where I have to drop some minor spoilers. So if you haven't watched the show yet and want to go in completely fresh, just skip those sections. I'll make sure to warn you right before I spoil anything. Right from the very first minute, it's painfully obvious who's behind this project. Pure, unadulterated HBO quality. The episode kicks off showing a young John Stewart watching Hal Jordan on TV. Visually and technically speaking, this show is a legit masterpiece. The top-tier direction, gorgeous cinematography, seamless editing, and special effects, which, unlike so many recent superhero projects, don't look cheap or cartoony at all, prove just how heavily DC and HBO invested in this show. The overall vibe is super heavy, dark, and mature, crafting an atmosphere right out of the gate that completely glues you to the screen. Now, let's talk about the single coolest highlight of this first episode. The acting. The casting choices were an absolute home run. The actor playing John Stewart comes across super grounded, serious, and powerful, perfectly nailing that image of a dedicated, determined ex-military guy. But the absolute, undeniable star of the show in this episode is none other than Kyle Chandler as Hal Jordan. Kyle Chandler plays Hal Jordan so masterfully, with so much depth and charisma, that he completely steals the scene from the second he appears on screen. He's the exact veteran, battle-weary, yet invincible Green Lantern we've been reading in the comics for years. The chemistry between Hal and John Stewart is fantastic too. Pairing a seasoned veteran Lantern with an energetic new recruit creates dynamic moments that give the show real life, and their stunning performances totally lock you in. However, now it's time to look at the flip side and talk about the single biggest flaw that really sticks out in this first episode: a distinct lack of loyalty to the core roots and identity of the Green Lantern comics. Right from day one, the creators openly stated that we weren't getting a straight-up sci-fi spectacle. They were going for a grounded, dark crime thriller vibe, pretty much in the style of True Detective. Now, a detective atmospheric build-up is super cool, but the main problem is that we're watching a show titled Lanterns. When you hear Green Lantern, the first things that pop into any comic fan's head are cosmic armies, galactic space battles, and above all, the limitless power of that green ring. Unfortunately, in this episode, the sci-fi elements take a huge backseat, and the use of the ring's actual constructs is super limited and fed to us in tiny drops. This style of storytelling might work great for casual viewers, but for someone like me who wants to see spaceflight, dimensional battles, and epic constructs being summoned, it's a bit disappointing.
Honestly, instead of feeling like a cosmic superhero epic, it feels more like a grounded crime drama, where the heroes just happen to be wearing rings on their fingers. Everyday audiences who aren't super familiar with Green Lantern lore are probably going to love this show, but hardcore comic fans like me might end up a little let down. Alright guys, this next part spoils the biggest twist of episode 1, so if you don't want anything ruined for you, skip ahead right now. Now let's move on to the main event, the exact moment that completely flips the script. Right at the very end of this first episode, we get a massive moment that was actually leaked beforehand. Hal Jordan, the legendary Green Lantern, gets killed off. This plot twist hits the narrative like a bomb. We saw Hal acting as this seasoned mentor right alongside John Stewart, but his sudden and mysterious death turns the whole trajectory of the story 180 degrees. Now John Stewart is left alone on the field, forced to go single-handed into a world full of conspiracies and danger to hunt down Hal's killer and uncover the mystery behind this gruesome crime. But is it really that simple? Absolutely not. In the world of comics, and especially big DC projects, no death is ever meaningless or permanent. The second those end credits rolled, Reddit and the internet exploded with theories about Hal Jordan's true fate.
Out of all the speculation, two theories are spreading like wildfire. Theory number 1, the Manhunters are behind it. The Manhunters are those ancient, ruthless humanoid robots that enforced order long before the Green Lantern Corps was even a thing, back before they went corrupt. According to this theory, Hal's death was a calculated hit by these killer bots to completely dismantle Earth's defenses. Plus, as you guys know, a ton of sources had already confirmed the Manhunters would be showing up in the series. Theory number 2, Hal Jordan's fall and the shadow of Parallax. This theory is ridiculously dark and awesome. It says Hal Jordan didn't actually die in this episode at all. Instead, years ago, he got infected by that ancient cosmic entity Parallax, the literal embodiment of fear. That's why his ring passed to Guy Gardner way back then, making this whole death scene just a massive setup. The idea is that Hal will make a shocking comeback in the season finale as the main villain of the story. To be completely honest with you guys, I'm leaning much more toward the first theory. Theory number 2 sounds insane on paper, but looking at how the DCU has handled its recent projects, especially Peacemaker Season 2, where they hyped up the finale so much only for it to land as just a cool moment rather than something mind-blowing, I just don't see them pulling off something that crazy. Though man, I really hope I'm proven wrong on this one. Things get way crazier, weirder, and more controversial when you look at recent comments from Tom King, one of the main writers and strategists behind this show. In a podcast right after episode 1 dropped, he made a super wild claim. After Hal Jordan dies, his ring goes straight to Guy Gardner. Now, at first glance, that might sound totally fine, but if you pay close attention to the DCU timeline, you slam right into a massive plot hole and timeline contradiction. Keep these dates in mind. The events of Lanterns and Hal Jordan's death take place in 2026. Meanwhile, James Gunn's Superman took place in 2025. Here's the catch. Back in the Superman movie, we literally saw Guy Gardner rocking a green ring and fighting as an active Green Lantern. So the question is, if Hal dies in 2026 for his ring to pass to Guy Gardner, how on earth did Guy already have a ring and operate as a Lantern a whole year earlier in Superman when Hal was still alive? This timeline clash basically comes down to two possibilities. Either it's a huge narrative oversight, or, like we mentioned in that earlier theory, it proves how Jordan actually lost his ring years before 2026, and his death in episode 1 isn't at all what it seems. We'll just have to wait and see how James Gunn and his team plan to explain away this timeline mess. To wrap things up, the first episode of Lanterns was an overall incredibly strong, engaging, and high-quality start for the new DCU. The heavy atmospheric vibe, top-tier production quality, and stellar acting make it an absolute blast to watch. That said, I really hope future episodes dive deeper into the cosmic elements, different Lantern Corps, and give us a lot more of John Stewart actually flexing his ring's powers. After all, the show's called Lanterns, so you expect to see that ring magic shine a bit more. Taking all the pros and cons into account, I'm giving episode 1 an 8.5 out of 10. Alright guys, what did you think of the first episode? Do you agree with my rating? And which Hal Jordan theory do you think is going to pay off? Did he actually die? Or is he coming back as Parallax? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any upcoming reviews. Thanks a ton for hanging out until the end, and until the next video and another awesome analysis, peace out.